Listen carefully, David, because I'm only saying this once. I've taken everything from our accounts, the twins aren't yours, and by the time you hear this message, we'll be on a plane to Switzerland with Marcus. My wife's voice crackled through the speakerphone at exactly 3:47 p.m., filling the conference room where I sat with 12 other people, including Marcus Fitzgerald, her boss, who'd gone pale as a sheet. The recording continued as everyone in the room froze. 8 years of pretending to love you, and finally I'm free. Oh, and don't bother with DNA tests. Marcus already arranged fake results showing he's the father, but what Vanessa didn't know was that Marcus was sitting directly across from me, in the middle of our company's annual audit, where every word was being recorded for legal compliance. The question that hung in the air wasn't just why my wife thought she could steal $2.3 million and kidnap my children, it was why Marcus, her supposed accomplice and lover, had his phone out, showing me the text he just received from his actual location in Tokyo. Who the hell is using my name to scam your husband? Let me rewind 6 hours. My name is David Sullivan, I'm 35, and I thought I had a perfect life. Beautiful wife, twin 7-year-old boys, successful career as CFO of a tech startup in Austin, Texas. That morning started normally. Vanessa kissed me goodbye, dropped the kids at school, headed to her job at the marketing firm where she worked as creative director under Marcus Fitzgerald. Except Marcus had been in Tokyo for 2 weeks, something I knew because I handled the company's finances and had personally approved his business trip expenses. So when Vanessa called from what she claimed was the airport, saying she was with Marcus, my fraud detection instincts kicked in immediately. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The first sign something was wrong came 3 months ago. Vanessa started working late, taking weekend, creative retreats, becoming protective of her phone. Classic affair signs, I thought. But when I checked our joint accounts, I monitor them weekly, everything seemed normal. No unusual purchases, no hidden credit cards, nothing. Then came the Mother's Day incident. The twins, Jackson and James, had made cards at school. Inside Jackson's, in his 7-year-old handwriting, "I love you mom, even when you cry at night about the bad man." When I asked him about it, he said, "Mom talks on the phone late at night. She cries about someone being mean to her. She says not to tell you because it would make you sad." That night, I installed recording software on our home security system, legal in Texas for your own property. What I discovered over the next month wasn't an affair. It was something far worse. Vanessa was being blackmailed. The calls came every few nights, always from blocked numbers. A digitally altered voice demanding money, threatening to expose something. Vanessa would cry, beg, promise to get more money. She'd already paid them $50,000 from her inheritance, the one she told me she'd invested in bonds. I wanted to confront her, help her, but something felt off. The blackmailer knew too much, our schedules, the kids' school, even what I'd eaten for lunch. This was someone close to us. So I kept recording, kept monitoring, trying to identify the blackmailer before revealing I knew. 2 weeks ago, everything changed. The recordings captured Vanessa on a different call, laughing this time. "He has no idea," she said. "David thinks I'm being blackmailed." The crying? Oscar-worthy, right? Another few weeks and we'll have enough to disappear forever. The person on the other end laughed too, a man's voice I didn't recognize. "The DNA test swap is brilliant, V. He'll be so devastated about the twins not being his, he won't even think to verify it. By the time he figures out the truth, we'll be ghosts." That's when I hired private investigator Janet Morrison, yes, relation to my colleague's PI from a previous case, small world in the investigation business. Janet discovered that Vanessa had created an elaborate scheme. She was the blackmailer, using voice-altering software to call herself, creating a trail that made her look like a victim while she slowly drained our accounts into offshore holdings. The man on the phone? Not Marcus Fitzgerald. It was Anthony Vega, a con artist with a record for identity theft and fraud. He'd been posing as Marcus in emails and calls to Vanessa, promising to help her escape with the money. The real Marcus was completely oblivious, focused on expanding our company's Asian markets from Tokyo. Janet also discovered something beautiful. The twins were absolutely, undeniably mine. Vanessa had arranged for fake DNA tests to be created, planning to devastate me psychologically so I wouldn't fight back. But she made one crucial error. She used a legitimate lab for the real tests years ago when the boys were born, for health insurance purposes. Those results were archived, immutable, proving paternity. Which brings us back to that conference room at 3:47 p.m. The audit meeting had been scheduled for months. Marcus was attending via video from Tokyo, but his connection had failed, so he was audio only. The other 10 people were board members, lawyers, and accountants reviewing our company's finances. When my phone rang with Vanessa's call, I recognized the number she'd been using for her blackmailer calls. I knew this was it, her grand finale. So I answered on speaker, claiming it was an urgent call about the kids. David? Her voice was different, triumphant. I know you're at work, but I needed you to hear this from me. Vanessa? What's wrong? I played along, gesturing for everyone to stay quiet. Nothing's wrong. Everything's finally right. I've emptied our accounts, checking, savings, the kids' college funds, your precious 401k, everything. It's all gone, transferred somewhere you'll never find it. The lawyers in the room started recording on their phones. The accountants were frantically taking notes. What are you talking about? I kept my voice shocked, scared. I'm talking about freedom, David. 8 years of playing the perfect wife, and I'm finally free. Oh, and those DNA tests you've been too trusting to demand? The twins aren't yours. They're Marcus's. We've been together since before we married. You were just the stable, boring banker who could give us a good life while we waited for our chance. Marcus, the real Marcus in Tokyo, unmuted his mic. What the fuck? David, I don't know what. I muted him quickly, letting Vanessa continue. Marcus and I are at the airport now. We're taking the boys to Switzerland. His company has an office there, and extradition is nearly impossible. Don't try to follow us. Don't try to find us. Just accept that you lost. Vanessa, please, let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You were a means to an end, David. The boys don't even like you. They know Marcus is their real father. We told them weeks ago. That was a lie. I'd had breakfast with the twins that morning, helped them with their math homework, listened to them excitedly plan our weekend camping trip. I need to go, Vanessa continued. Our flight boards in 20 minutes. Have a nice life, David. Or don't. I don't care anymore. She hung up. The room exploded. Who the hell was that? Marcus's voice boomed from the speaker. That, I said calmly, pulling up my prepared presentation on the conference room screen, was my wife committing fraud, identity theft, kidnapping, and about 12 other federal crimes. I displayed everything, the recordings of her fake blackmail calls. The offshore accounts Janet had traced. The fake DNA documents. The real DNA results. Anthony Vega's criminal record and his messages with Vanessa. Bank records showing she'd been slowly moving money for months, thinking our banking app wouldn't alert me if she stayed under $10,000 per transfer. She didn't know I'd customized alerts for any transfer over $100. She's not at the airport, I continued. According to this GPS tracker on her car, she's at a motel off I-35, probably with Anthony Vega. The twins are safe at school, I confirmed with the principal 20 minutes ago. And the $2.3 million she thinks she stole? It's sitting in an escrow account I created last week when I discovered her plan. She's been transferring money from dummy accounts I set up to look like our real ones. The head of our legal team, Sandra Williams, was already on her phone with the FBI. We have federal wire fraud, conspiracy, attempted kidnapping of minors, identity theft using a real person's name. Marcus from Tokyo was practically screaming, she used my name? My reputation? I'll destroy her. Get in line, I muttered. Within an hour, the FBI had arrested Vanessa and Anthony at the motel. They'd been celebrating with champagne, looking at real estate listings in Costa Rica. Switzerland was too expensive, apparently. The arrest video, which someone leaked, showed Vanessa in designer clothes she'd bought with stolen money, screaming that I'd set her up, that she was the victim. The twins were never in danger. I'd arranged for extra security at their school weeks ago, the moment I understood Vanessa's plan. When I picked them up that afternoon, they were oblivious, chattering about their art projects and asking if Mom would be home for dinner. Mom had to go away for a while, I told them carefully. But we're going to be okay. Is she visiting Grandma? Jackson asked. Something like that, I said, making a mental note to call the child psychologist Janet had recommended. That evening, as the boys played video games, I met with Sandra Williams and 2 FBI agents at my house. The evidence was overwhelming. Vanessa's laptop, seized from the motel, contained months of planning documents. She'd researched international custody law, Swiss banking regulations, how to create fake DNA tests, even how long she could keep the kids out of school before authorities noticed. This is one of the most elaborate spouse fraud cases I've seen, Agent Rivera said. She created an entire fake blackmail scenario to explain missing money, planned to frame a real person for an affair, attempted to psychologically torture you with fake paternity results. This is sociopathic. What about Anthony Vega? I asked. Singing like a canary, Agent Coleman replied. Claims it was all Vanessa's idea, that she promised him half the money. He's looking at 15 to 20 years, so he's giving us everything. The trial was a sensation. Wife fakes affair with boss to steal millions, made headlines nationwide. The detail that got the most attention was the fake DNA tests. The cruelty of trying to destroy a father-best relationship with his children for money struck a nerve with everyone. Vanessa tried multiple defenses. First, she claimed I was abusive and she was escaping. When I provided years of text messages showing a normal, even boring marriage, that fell apart. Then she claimed Anthony had manipulated her. When prosecutors showed her detailed planning documents predating her meeting Anthony, that failed too. The prosecution's star witness was unexpected, Marcus Fitzgerald, video calling from Tokyo at 3 a.m. his time, furious about his name being used. "I've met this woman exactly 5 times, he testified. All at company events with dozens of witnesses. The idea that we were having an affair is insulting. I'm gay, Your Honor. My husband and I have been together for 12 years. The courtroom gasped. Vanessa's lawyer actually put his head in his hands. The prosecutor pulled up Vanessa's planning documents. One entry read, "Marcus is perfect, travels often, David trusts him, and he's too private about his personal life for anyone to verify an affair." "She didn't even know you were gay?" the prosecutor asked Marcus. "Apparently not. Though if she'd bothered to look at my desk, she'd have seen the wedding photos. The DNA evidence was particularly damning. The real tests from the hospital proved the twins were mine. But Vanessa had paid a sketchy online company $5,000 to create fake results showing Marcus as the father. She'd even researched whether Texas required DNA tests for custody disputes, planning to use the fake results if I fought for the children. She was willing to traumatize her own children, the prosecutor said in closing arguments, telling them their father wasn't their real father, all for money. This isn't just fraud. It's psychological warfare against her own family. Vanessa was convicted on all charges: wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted kidnapping, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit interstate flight. The sentence, 12 years federal prison, no parole for at least 8. At sentencing, she finally spoke to me directly. "You destroyed my life." "No," I replied. "You destroyed your own life. I just refused to let you destroy mine." Anthony Vega got 18 years, with possible reduction for cooperation. He'd provided evidence of 3 other similar schemes Vanessa had researched but not executed, including one targeting a professional athlete she'd met at a charity event. The financial aftermath was complex but satisfying. Because Vanessa had committed fraud, she lost all claims to marital assets. The house, the real accounts, everything became solely mine. The money she'd stolen was returned from the escrow account I'd created. She actually ended up owing me money, restitution for the $50,000 she'd taken from her inheritance while pretending to be blackmailed. The twins handled it better than expected. The child psychologist was brilliant, helping them understand that mom made some bad choices and needs time to think about them. We didn't tell them about the fake DNA tests. They didn't need that burden. They knew they were loved, that they were mine, and that was enough. 6 months later, life had found a new rhythm. I'd taken a leave from work to focus on the boys, though the company insisted on keeping me on as a consultant. Apparently, my fraud detection skills were now legendary. Marcus had returned from Tokyo and actually became a friend, bonding over the absurdity of being cast as the villain in Vanessa's fiction. "My husband still can't believe it," Marcus told me over coffee. "He wants to frame the court documents showing I'm gay just to prove it never could have happened." The boys thrived with stability and honesty. Jackson joined Little League. James discovered a love for piano. They asked about mom occasionally, and I told them age-appropriate truths. She'd made mistakes, she was getting help, and no matter what, they were loved. A year later, I received a letter from Vanessa in prison. Not an apology, I don't think she was capable of that. Instead, it was a complaint about prison conditions and a request for money for her commissary account. I sent the letter to my lawyer, who forwarded it to the prosecutor. Attempting to manipulate me for money while serving time for fraud showed she'd learned nothing. The boys are teenagers now. They know the full story. I told them when they were old enough to handle it. They've chosen not to have contact with Vanessa, who still has 3 years left on her sentence. They're remarkable young men. Jackson's heading to MIT for engineering. James got a full scholarship to Juilliard for piano. Sometimes Jackson asks me why I didn't see it coming sooner. I trusted her, I tell him. Trust isn't a weakness, but blind trust is dangerous. Always verify, especially when something feels wrong. Like you do with financial accounts? James adds with a smile. Exactly like that. The truth is, Vanessa had been a good actress. For 8 years, she'd played the role of loving wife and mother. But greed revealed her true character. She'd been willing to destroy her children's emotional well-being, steal their college funds, and frame an innocent man, all for money. The recording of that phone call still exists, locked in FBI evidence. Sometimes I remember her voice, so confident, so cruel. "The twins aren't yours." The woman who'd held our babies in the hospital, who'd cried at their first steps, who'd sung them lullabies, was willing to use them as weapons for financial gain. But here's what Vanessa never understood: fatherhood isn't about DNA. It's about showing up, every day, even when it's hard. It's about teaching them to ride bikes, helping with homework, being there for nightmares and celebrations. She could never take that away, no matter what lies she told. The boys and I are a family, stronger for surviving her betrayal. We learn that love isn't about perfect trust, it's about truth, resilience, and choosing each other even when someone tries to tear you apart. And the $2.3 million Vanessa tried to steal? It's in the twins' college funds now, growing safely in accounts she can never touch. They'll graduate debt-free, launched into lives built on honesty rather than deception. That's the real irony. Vanessa's elaborate scheme to steal our family's money only secured it for the children she was willing to traumatize. Her plan to destroy me only made me stronger. And her attempt to take my sons away only proved that being a father has nothing to do with DNA and everything to do with love. She called to say goodbye, thinking she'd won everything. Instead, she lost the only things that actually mattered: her family, her freedom, and any chance at redemption. And somewhere in a federal prison in Texas, she has 12 years to think about that.